Starbucks employees are pissed because corporate just updated their dress code so that customers can have a more consistent coffee house experience. This is their official statement that you can actually find on their website. And long story short, they're evolving the dress code because they really want that green to pop, that green apron that they've been using since the 80s. They want their employees in dark colors, either a button up, a crew neck, long sleeve, or short sleeve. Starbucks is only going to be providing their partners with 2 shirts. And some of their employees are saying it's likely going to result in out-of-pocket costs if they want to have enough work clothes to get through the week without having to do extra laundry. And to add insult to injury, they're saying, Starbucks, you're focusing way too much on what we wear and not enough on customers' requests for free water, core operational issues, and such long wait times at stores. I'm surprised that this didn't happen sooner. The green really does pop against the black, but change is hard and people are always going to push back on decisions like this. What do you think about this pushback against a more consistent coffee house experience? Let me know in the comments.
Boy, 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 boy. So we got to talk about woke Starbucks, a company that is currently struggling despite embracing wokeness, embracing unionized labor, and progressive values. These things do not seem to equal profitability for Starbucks, which is part of the reason why you have some corporate layoffs happening and their sales continue to fall.
Time for some coffee talk. Starbucks ready to cut down its menu and cut back its corporate staff as well. The coffee giant plans to lay off more than 1,000 employees, part of a reboot called Back to Starbucks. Kelly O'Grady is here to show us what's driving these job cuts and menu changes. Kelly, is this a venti problem or merely a tall problem?
Maybe. What's the middle one? Yeah,
I don't even know. I still do small, medium, large.
All right, so look, these 1,100 employees, they're going to be notified by midday today. The layoffs, they're at the corporate level, and they won't impact in-store positions. Now, the CEO said the goal is to be more efficient and less complex. And this all comes as the coffee chain's North American and U.S. same-store sales have slipped for 4 straight quarters. That's the longest decline that we've seen in years. Now, part of the problem is longer wait times, but many consumers have also turned away due to increased prices. I mean, we know people are worried about inflation, so that makes it harder to justify a $6 latte. Now, the chain is also slashing about 30% of its menu. Here are just some of the cuts, which include many frappuccinos and some hot drinks as well. Now, so Starbucks hopes by changing the menu and becoming more efficient at the corporate level, the company can bounce back.
Kelly, you mentioned the price changes, 23% increase year over year. Why? Or actually, that's just since the start of this year. Why the jump?
Yeah, so that's coming from coffee, that 23% number, and this is really driven by weather. So Brazil and Vietnam, they produce over 50% of the world's coffee. Both of those nations, they've been dealing with severe drought, in some cases followed by severe flooding. So that impacts the supply. During that same amount of time, demand has gone up. I know I'm drinking more coffee if I'm being honest. Simple economics. Demand goes up, supply goes down, prices spike. I will note, though, we haven't seen the full increase go to our cup of coffee because coffee traders, they buy months in advance, but it's coming.
Boy, I tell you, Starbucks is struggling. They're struggling heavily, okay? Again, I am waiting for Starbucks' progressive values, their unionized labor, all these things that they claim is going to bring them greater sales because progressives support this stuff, right? This is what progressives say. Hey, you know, if you just embrace our values, then we're going to shop at your store, right? And we're going to help you stay afloat. In the case of Starbucks, again, not looking so good, okay? They're down about 20% this month. And then on the day, they're down almost 7%, right? So their stock is currently tanking, okay, as you have the employees revolting. But they're not revolting over the possibility that they could be cut or they could lose their jobs because their company is not performing well financially. No, they're upset because the company is asking them to wear a uniform. Right? Yes, the company is asking these Starbucks baristas to wear company branded t-shirts in like just a simple like attire, right? That matches the theme that they're trying to display to customers as a part of what I assume to be their rebranding strategy, right? They're trying to revive their brand. They're trying to create more sales. And the woke employees at Starbucks, they're currently lashing out at corporate for implementing this uniform policy, right? They're really, really, really upset. Take a look.
Just in case you all are wondering why Starbucks employees are very upset with the dress code change, I am going to show you a collection of clothing that I will no longer be allowed to wear starting May 12th that are perfectly normal shirts that don't hinder me from doing my job. Long sleeve brown shirt. Long sleeve blue striped shirt. Long sleeve maroon striped shirt. Brown and yellow striped shirt. Reddish orange cream striped shirt. This one's allowed. This black one is okay. Gray striped shirt. Black with colorful striped shirt. I like stripes. Solid pink t-shirt. A mauve purple long sleeve plain shirt. A plain gray t-shirt. A plain taupey t-shirt. And the last one I have in this pile, this blue plain t-shirt. That does not include all of my sweaters, my dresses and skirts that I will no longer be allowed to wear because everything has to be black. Here are 3 examples of patterned socks that I would wear to work that I am no longer allowed to wear because they have to be solid.
Thing that Starbucks loves to do is allow partners to be themselves or whatever that PR that they want to push. I don't understand how that's in good faith of letting us express ourselves. I don't understand how that's supposed to embody craft and culture and bring us back to that coffee house kind of vibe that Starbucks is asking for, because for some reason you all can't understand how to schedule more people in a zone. You can't understand that people are taking all away, and that you can't understand that it's not appropriate to tell someone that they are okay, that they should be doing the work of 4 people. That's disrespectful. I'm sorry, how often do I see you actually on the floor and actually helping instead of going against things that help us? When your partners are saying, I need you, I need help. Sorry, we're busy. I'm doing admin. Sorry.
This is not a legal action that Starbucks is taking by unilaterally deciding what the dress code is going to be and then creating this so-called feedback session where the dress code's already created and we're just expected to let off some steam and still accept it. Lying down. This isn't a feedback.
So that any of these partners feel manipulated by all of you all who are also continuing to push this agenda on us. And that's all I really have to do.
Yeah. So you see that, you heard that. Now, I love this story. And the reason why I love this story is because at some point, these corporations will realize that going woke is just not worth it. And hiring these woke people is not worth it, right? It's not worth it. But see, Starbucks, despite the fact that they basically subsidize gender affirming care, aka sex change operations for their employees, despite the fact that they pay more than $15 an hour, which is what these people beg for, right? A living wage, right? They have a unionized labor force. They allow you to come to work with piercings and nose rings and pink hair and just looking silly, right? Stuff that just wouldn't be allowed back in the day, okay? Requiring them to wear a uniform apparently is too much, right? Apparently, this is triggering and a traumatic event for a lot of these people that work at this company, despite the fact that they're getting all these benefits that they begged for. Requiring them to do something as basic as wearing a uniform, which is required in, I believe, a vast majority of these types of jobs, right? When you talk about customer-facing jobs, right, where you have to interact with customers on a day-to-day basis, yeah, you tend to have to wear a uniform, right? Now, some companies have moved back from that. I don't like that. I'm old school. I'm very conservative when it comes to corporate and work attire, right? If they say that you got to wear a uniform, then you got to wear a uniform. It is what it is, right? The fact that these people feel entitled enough to complain about this is crazy to me, considering how they're getting everything else they could possibly ask for. You make coffee and you're making $15 an hour, in some cases more, $20, $25 an hour to make coffee, which isn't exactly a high skill, right? Not exactly a high skill, okay? But again, you're getting paid. You're getting your health coverage that you want, right, for your sex change operations. You got your union labor. You got all these progressive values, right? But yet these people are still unhappy just because they have to wear a uniform. Almost every other job, again, makes you wear some type of uniform in some capacity, right? I mean, in my case, when I was working at Vanguard in corporate America, I think the attire was business casual, okay? So you can wear like a collared shirt. You didn't have to wear a full suit and tie. You can wear some khaki pants and a collared shirt, basically. But, you know, I personally decided I was going to wear business professional basically every day, right? I rarely came to work in business casual because, you know, at the time, right, when I was working in corporate America, I really believed that how you dress says something about how serious you are at your job, right? If you can't get up in the morning and to put on the proper attire, right, then that says something about your work ethic. It says something about how much you care about your job and how much you care about your personal brand, so to speak, right? And that is something that I believed, okay, when I worked in corporate America, and I still believe it, that how you dress is important, right? And if the company says you got to wear a uniform, then you got to wear a uniform. It is what it is, okay? I mean, you should want to dress in a way that is aligned with the branding of the company, right? If you are an employee and you're wearing all these different colored shirts, you're taking away from the brand, right? You're taking away from the experience that customers have when they come and they drink coffee at Starbucks, right? This is very simple stuff. This is not hard to understand. Why is it that the company would want the employees to have a dress code, right? And to adhere to that dress code, okay? I think Starbucks has realized they've gotten a little bit too woke, right? And they need to change it up, right? They need to pull back on some of this freedom that they've allowed their employees to have that really does not help the bottom line, okay? So, you know, it's just hilarious to me how you can give these progressives everything that they could possibly want, right? But when you ask them to do something as basic as to wear a uniform, they're boohoo, whining, and crying. They're always boohoo, whining, and crying about something. I don't know why corporate America continues to get in bed with these people, because their politics and their woke ideology seems to be more important to them than their actual work, right? I've covered so many stories, okay, that really drive home my point. Like, for example, last year I talked about what happened to Google. Okay, you had some employees, I think it was about 20 to 30 employees that decided it would be a good idea to boycott at Google, right? Just to boycott their job. And they basically started protesting at the corporate offices, and Google had to fire them, right? After having them arrested, because they thought that it would be a good idea to protest the technology that Google provides to the Israeli government, right? This is what you got to deal with when you hire these people who think that activism is more important than their actual work, what they actually contribute to society. And when it comes to the activism, a vast majority of the time, these people are contributing nothing but chaos and destruction. And that carries over into the corporate workplace, okay? I don't know how many times I have to cover these stories for these companies to realize that, hey, maybe hiring these people is just not the move, right? Maybe it's more trouble than it's worth. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.